was trying to go to the mountains and still capture them. So okay, now it's war, right? And they were using their hair then as weapons. Like if y'all go back and read the articles, read the diaries, they speak about how it was these black men, these black women that were like could use their hair to snatch down cheap tree branches. Would use their locks as like swords. Like they locks would be so sharp that when they whip their head and hit somebody with it, it could cut their neck off. Like, which is not believable because think about how hard hair gets and how strong it get if it get matted and tangled enough. That's just like a water hose. If you turn the pressure up on the water hose high enough, you can cut somebody's head off with that water hose because it'll be coming out so sharp and so strong. All right, so you can get your hair to that strength. You just ain't know that because they didn't want you to know that.
Ancient Egypt. Yes, y'all. Kemet, which is the original name for ancient Egypt. It is proven that the ancient Egyptians, from the beginning of civilization, have had locks. Yes, you guys, mummies have been found with locks intact from their skull all the way down to their feet, and sometimes the locks would even wrap around their feet. It is said that once people became in power in ancient civilization, they would start their locks, and their locks would signify their power. So the longer your locks were, the longer it signified that you had been in power. So locks were an example of power in ancient Egypt. Now, why is that important to know? It is important to know because a lot of people, and I hope that most people do know and understand that Egypt was the center of the Pangea. Egypt is the birthplace of civilization. So that just tells us how long locks have been around. Locks have been here from the beginning of civilization. This is not a new hairstyle. This is not just a fashion statement. There is history behind these locks.
Why one should lock their hair, or why I lock my hair, and why I will never cut my hair. And think about it. Where does your hair grow from? Your scalp. What's underneath your scalp? Your skull. What's underneath your skull? Your brain. Right? The brain is full of nerves. You know, even if I simply touch my hair, I can feel this. You know, and why do I feel it? Even if someone were to touch out here, you know, I can feel that. Because this is all connected to nerves, right? Our hair is just an extension of all that. Everything outer is an extension of what's inner. So, yeah, I would never cut my hair. And not to say that my nerves are gone when if someone with a shaved head, like...
Why? Right? This is why. Now, I told you, these locks are coils. So what does that mean? If electricity is being generated through you all day, and you have coils, electrical coils in your head that can harness electricity and generate it as well, what do you think is happening when you go outside and step in the sun? All that sun you receive and you hold it in your locks. All that information you're holding in your locks, and not just from the sun, from everything around you. So that's why the longer your hair, your locks get, the more intuitive you get. If you're tapped in, the more receptive you get because you can feel everything around you. You can feel the vibration. These are antennas. All right, these are your antennas, right?
In essence, Black people's hair, or Afro-textured hair, is spiritual because it helps us sense the environments around us a lot better than other textures of hair would. You can actually think of it as our antennas. So think of a time when you were either frightened or you go from a room that's hot to a room that's cold. There's something that your body does when there's a change in atmosphere that lets your brain know that, hey, there's a change in the energy around me, right? So whenever people get frightened, they usually say, it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And this is technically true because whenever we get goosebumps or whenever we get chills because there's something creepy, it's just like the atmosphere is off. You are able to sense that because your hair starts reacting to it. Your hair stands up, and that sends a message to your brain, your nervous system, to tell your brain to start being vigilant.
All right. This is also where the story of Samson and Delilah comes from, where Delilah kept asking Samson, 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 how are you so strong? How are you so strong in the Bible? And the whole time it was his hair. And then as soon as he cut his hair, they captured him. But when he didn't have his hair, they couldn't do nothing with him, right? That's where all that come from. All right, but Queen Nanny and what they did with the Maroons in Jamaica, you know, like I say, they were terrorizing them just using their locks. Just using the locks. That's not including other tactics that she would use. But they were using so many tactics with the locks that's when these settlers started to call them dreadlocks. Because they dreaded seeing these locks. I mean, can you imagine a motherfucker snatching a whole tree branch down with their locks? Somebody using their locks to cut people's head off. Using their locks to wrap people up. Using their locks to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta understand, you're so electrical that you can reach a level of complete control within yourself to where you can actually control each lock on you to that level. Like when your hair get that long, like this how magical we are. And like I said, this is where the story of Medusa first came from. This is where they get the snakes and they move.
Your hairs send messages to your brain. Therefore, they are parts of the nervous system, which is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. So then think of the hair on your head as an extension of your thoughts, because it literally comes out of your head, which is where all of the messages and the neurosensory pathways and stuff, those are firing. And our hair conducts and receives signals, kind of like a cell tower sends and receives signals from the surrounding areas. Afro-textured hair specifically sends these messages and receives these messages at a higher level than other textures of hair. So right now in your head, imagine that energy is being conducted. Maybe imagine a microwave frequency, any type of movement. In my head, I am imagining the signal from like a cell phone, and what the signal looks like is it is in a circular shape, kind of like a spiral. Anything that conducts energy, such as a radio wave or anything radioactive, it conducts it in waves or spirals. Spirals and waves are the shape of Afro-textured hair. I mean, it ranges from, you know, very loose to very, very kinky or coily. So just like a cell phone sends and conducts signals through these waves, our hair, because it is the actual shape of these waves, it sends and conducts energy and senses the energy around it more effectively and at a stronger level. And our hair literally symbolizes movement, creativity, life, vitality, and all of those things. And